another Tuesday talk with Ruby Reese. Shortly, we will be joined by Caroline from Dogsercise to talk about the really exciting topic of supporting senior dogs. We will be, of course, be making generalizations during the course of this talk. So anything that we do say may just be a generalization. It might not be specific to you, your dog, or your situation. If you do have any concerns, as always, reach out to a certified practitioner. I think Caroline is already in the chat. The invite system will work. Sometimes we're more successful than others at getting people on the first go.
Hello.
Caroline, I think we've successfully connected. How are you doing this evening?
I'm great. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Thank you very much for joining me. Would you do us the pleasure of introducing yourself, please?
Of course. Hi, everyone. My name is Caroline. I'm the founder and head trainer at Dogsercise. We're based near Youghal, East Cork or West Waterford. And I make it my mission to build a better bond between humans and dogs through play and purposeful activities.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. And thank you for joining us for the second Tuesday talk that we've done together. For those of you that don't know me already, I'm Killian from Ruby Reese. We're a brand that for dogs that's set up based here also in Cork. And you can go and check out our website, ruby-reese.com, after this very interesting talk. So we decided to pick the topic supporting senior dogs this evening. Really excited. I find it super important that we can touch on this topic because so many people get excited about the puppies and then the teenage kind of dogs. And this is where there's loads of excitement and energy, and it's a lovely time indeed for a dog family. But also, I think every dog family, or most dog families, will be lucky enough to also go through this phase in dealing with senior dogs. So it's a really important topic, but maybe you want to talk about why you chose this one.
Well, it's one very close to my heart because my own dog, one of my own dogs, Sansa, she is already 9.5, and my first dog, the border collie Stucky, he was 10. He only got to 10. So it's and it's going to be an interesting year for me, probably quite an anxiety-filled year, and I'm going to be watching her like a hawk. But I want to learn from my previous experience of losing a dog that young.
Yeah.
You know, for border collie 10 is really not an old age, right? I would have expected him to get to 14 at least, but it just, I want to be more proactive. I want to be more curious, more educated, just so I can spot things and react much quicker than I probably missed things, you know, like.
Well, we can all miss things, but I suppose let's pick out the most important topic here now. You mentioned that for a border collie 10 years. So I think it's important to point out that not every breed is going to reach the same age, right? No. Certain breeds are known for quite short lifespans, and some can be considerably longer, right? Do you want to touch on that and on which breeds kind of would expect to live? Yeah.
So usually you could expect smaller dogs to live longer than bigger dogs. So we kind of distinguish a little bit. Smaller breeds would be considered senior dogs from about 8-9 years of age, whereas middle-sized dogs would be somewhere around 7. And large breeds and giant breeds would be considered senior from 5 years plus. Pretty roughly about.
Yeah.
So it's really, really different, and their needs change so much. And you already spoke about, everybody's excited about the puppies and the struggles that come with that, and everybody's talking about that and really invested. Then you have the teenage phase where again everybody's really invested because things change really rapidly, and suddenly we have to deal with behavior that wasn't there before and stuff like that. And then we reach adulthood and everything settles down and it goes quiet. And it goes even more quiet and more quiet, right? And I really want to change that, because older dogs are such a joy to be around. They're usually pretty not necessarily confident, but pretty content in where they are. They found their place. They kind of know the world. They don't get fazed by everything so much anymore. And they're just like Sansa brings me so much joy now that she's bomb-proof at this point, right? Absolutely bomb-proof. And I can bring her everywhere and we can do stuff. And I know she knows how to behave because I've taught her the last 9 years how to behave in certain situations. So while I have to maintain that and keep practicing things, I don't have to focus so much on that anymore. I can be so much more relaxed when I bring her out and about. It's not like a teenage dog that you have to constantly watch and be prepared for everything, right?
And I suppose on one side, she's been learning what her expectations are, or what your expectations of her are, when you're out and about. But also on the other side, this all of the signs, because you've had years to build up a relationship. You know the signs when my dog is afraid, when my dog is angry, when my dog is not feeling this interaction, and I suppose that makes life easier as well. So it is quite a lovely feeling to have already built a bond with your an older dog, and them kind of knowing what they like and don't like.
Exactly.
And I suppose, what would we say is normal? So do all dogs age similarly to humans in a broad context?
Pretty much. That's why I've literally just finished a book on it. Not reading it. Finished reading a book on it. Really, really good book. If you haven't read it, The Forever Dog, without advertising, I don't get money for this. It's a really, really, really good book. It's written by Dr. Karen Becker and Rodney. Oh, I forgot his last name. Habib.
Okay. It's The Forever Dog.
Really good book.
I'm sure Google will find it.
You'll find it everywhere. I listened to it on Audible, so it's absolutely brilliant. It taps a lot into nutrition, so it's very nutrition focused. But a lot of parallels are being drawn to humans, and researchers love using dogs to understand the aging process, because it's pretty much the same stages as humans go through, just more condensed. It happens faster.
Sure.
So there is a lot of research behind it to understand where we can improve, also from a human perspective, not just from a dog's perspective. But that was such an interesting book. I'm still blown away by it, and I try to slowly implement stuff now to just make Sansa's last years as long as I can, to keep her with me, happy, healthy, fully functioning. So functioning, I mean, she can go to the toilet, she can move around, she can get up from her bed without needing help, or in any way being in pain with that. So all the basic functions, she can eat, she can drink, all these things, right? So I want to maintain that at a very high level for as long as possible.
Absolutely. And I suppose, like, so you're considering all the different types of physical need, really, and the basic needs, and then so how do their cardio needs then change over time as well? I'm guessing even breeds that are known to be very, very energetic might also start slowing down.
Oh, absolutely. They all slow down. Sansa slows down.
Yeah.
She's not as fast as she used to be. She still runs. she gets her cardio. Hamish helps with that. Hamish is almost a year and a half now. Also a collie cross, and he keeps her on her toes. So, like, if I just want to talk through an exercise day, right? So usually while the kids are in school in the mornings, I work. So the dogs get their breakfast. A lot of the time, if the weather isn't absolutely miserable, I scatter feed on the lawn so they get their sniffs out, and they can feed into their foraging desires and find their food out on the lawn. If I really feel like it, I make them a snuffle box or something fancy, right? Just change things up a little bit. And then if I have a class in the morning, they come to the class, or one of them comes to the class, they would get their breakfast during class. So it really depends on the day. But yeah, then they go for a snooze, literally, while I do some office stuff, a bit of admin. And then once the kids are home from school after lunch, we go outside. The dogs usually tug. They love tugging with each other. They play tug of war, and they literally kill each other with that. So they get a lot of cardio and core exercise through that, right?
Yeah. So am I hearing correctly that walking them for kilometers and kilometers isn't your approach?
No, absolutely not. I don't walk my dogs for hours on end. Absolutely not. They're high energy breeds, right? They need exercise. Exercise does not have to be in form of a walk. Yeah. It's important from a mental stimulation perspective that they get to sniff different things and different environments, and they're not just in your backyard, right? But for me, exercise is beyond a walk. I can never walk my dog unless they're off lead. I cannot meet that need for exercise when I'm walking my dog on a lead, ever. It's just not possible, right? Yeah. That time should be, when we are walking our dogs on lead, should be sniffing, checking out the environment, observing. Just sit down on a bench as well and watch the world go by. Very enriching, very stimulating for a dog's brain. And many dogs struggle with that. They're like, what do you mean we sit here and do nothing? They find that incredibly hard, especially high energy breeds. They find it so hard to be still and slow down. So that's a really nice one to practice. And how lovely is it to take your dog to the beach and just sit on a big rock and watch the waves with them? Yeah, you know?
Definitely. Awesome. And I think lots of dogs will like watching things like birds going by and the waves coming in and things like that. So yeah. I think that's definitely something. And then I suppose, you know, are sports kind of out of the question then as we get older, and what do we understand under sports for dogs as, you know, as they age?
No, absolutely not. And that would be the continuation of my day.
Sorry, okay. We've only got it for lunchtime.
No, we don't end with the tug. The tugging is pretty much their warm-up, if you want to call it that. So they're doing a bit of tugging, and they run around the field and chase each other and do the heavy cardio work, right? The sprint. That's what they do there. But the actual sports area that I tap into with my dogs, I do that in a more controlled fashion because I don't want them to get injured, right? Yeah. I look for quality a lot over quantity. So I do strength and conditioning exercises with my dogs that kind of come from my boot camp classes that I do. So I do a few bits here and there with them. I do hoopers. Sansa loves hoopers. It's low impact. It's all flat. She doesn't have to jump. It's not like agility where you have the hard stops, or like flyball where you have the tight turns and the jumping. Hoopers is all flat. She can go at her pace. If she decides to walk the course at some point, she can still do that.
True.
She doesn't have to. She can walk.
And maybe some people are watching in that don't understand what hoopers exactly is, and maybe the strength and conditioning as well, because I presume it's not push-ups and sit-ups you're doing with the dog. But maybe, okay. So maybe you could define those a little bit just for people watching in.
absolutely. So canine hoopers is basically a low impact alternative to agility. That's what I like to call it. The dogs navigate a course consisting of hoops. They look a bit like croquet gates, just enlarged, so the dogs can go through them. And we have barrels, and we also have tunnels. The tunnels are much shorter than agility tunnels and much higher. And the barrels are pretty wide. They look like the big blue water barrels for rainwater collection. So the turns are pretty wide. So barrels are used to change direction on the course in a nice wide turn. It's not tight. And also the courses are very flowing. So there are no hard stops. There are no tight turns. We don't go up or down anything. It's all flat, and it's absolutely brilliant for older dogs to just get a bit of movement in, and also work on that relationship and on that communication. Really, really important, because in hoopers we try to work at distance and get more distance to the dog. So ultimately we want to stand in the center of the course and just be the conductor, right? Which is really good. I love efficient training where I do nothing and the dogs get tired. So it's absolutely brilliant. After that, so that's also because it taps into movement, into cardio, right? I do strength and conditioning exercises after. So I learned a lot from Deirdre at Pet Paws Physio. Sounds like at Physio 2 years ago for a muscle tear, and I stayed for the sessions because I learned so much as well, and that grew my interest in canine fitness as well. And I tapped more into that and researched more and learned more on what we can do to maintain muscle mass and fitness without having to walk them for hours on end, right? It's not cardio. It's a different type. So when you look at a marathon runner, for example, they don't just run for their training. They also go to the gym and they lift weights and they do swimming and they do other sports to complement their marathon training. And it's pretty much the same for our dogs. So you can have a dog that looks quite fit, but they have very little muscle mass on their back and their hind end. Dogs are naturally front loading because of the head, that is kind of like a cantilever. So they have more weight on their front than their hind. And that's where I always say it's not just the muscle mass that gets neglected on the hind end, also the awareness. The hind feet basically just follow the front. That's why a lot of the time you see dogs when they walk just on the edge of a footpath, they step down with the hind end and they slip down, or you know, because
you sometimes see them kind of waddling.
The awareness isn't there. And that of course then is more a risk of injury if they're not aware of where their body starts and ends. If you don't know how big your car is and you want to park into a parking spot, you know,
exactly.
It might not work.
You're likely to injure the car.
Exactly. It's the same for our dogs, right? We want to also maintain muscle mass, but also continue to keep that body awareness so they don't injure themselves as quickly as if they don't have that body awareness. And there are a few different things we can do. But from a strength and conditioning perspective, getting their paws on stuff and back down, like slowly. We're talking slow here. This is like Pilates, okay? It's not fast. It's all slow and controlled with a lot of brain. We want a lot of brain when they're doing this, a lot of awareness. So putting their front feet on a step and back down and up and back down. Getting them to change in between 2 yoga blocks, for example, going sideways. So like in a semicircle. So you have one yoga block over here and the other one is over here, and they step from one over to the other. Just with the front, they have to really engage their core. The hind feet are anchored, and they just move the front, and they literally, they start to kind of look for it, because up here they're busy trying to look for your hand with the treat in it, but they search for the block with their feet. It's really amazing. I have some nice footage of Sansa doing that. It's like, where is it? Really, really good. Hamish, on the other hand, just bulldozes through at the moment. He has no body awareness. So
yes,
they're
that's
very
an
different.
age and energy thing as well, right? Yeah.
Exactly. So we're building it. We're building it. And for our older dogs, like utilizing the environment when you're out on a walk. Get their front paws up on a bench that's there, or on a low wall, something that's low enough, right? Get them to hop onto a low wall and walk along it for a little bit of balance. If they're not at risk of falling off.
Yes. And our lovely Instagram community will be so used to this, for getting their dogs to do silly poses for photos and videos for the last how many ever years. So the dogs will be well used to putting their paws up here and standing like this and sitting like that. So hopefully you can put some of those photography skills and modeling skills to use then as well with your aging dog. And I suppose you mentioned as well, like, physio needs and the work that you do with Deirdre. So, like, as dogs age, I'm presuming certain illnesses kind of tend to come up as well, particularly to do with joints, mobility. Do we want to touch on that as well?
We can a little bit. Now, of course, every dog is different.
Yeah.
And I don't want to put a blanket approach that all the shepherds get hip dysplasia. It's not the case. Necessarily, because so many factors play into that. There are loads of environmental factors that influence our dog's health, their immune system, how they respond, all the things, right? And the book that I just finished also taps into that our dogs have a genome. But if a gene is activated, depends on so many factors. And just because they're born with it doesn't mean they actually get that illness, right?
Yes.
So it's so interesting. But like Sansa, I know that she has the onset of hip dysplasia. She has shepherd in her. So I'm aware. I know it. We've seen it. I have to do another X-ray this year to see where she's at. If there are any changes. So that would be something we only found out about at that time where she tore that muscle. So we were at Hooper's training, and she literally just, she lay down. We were in between runs. She lay down, and I lifted up the tuggy because we were up next. Lifted up the tuggy up off the ground. She followed it. She didn't even jump. She just got up and she screamed. So I was like, So it turned out we went to the vet. She screamed for what felt like 5 minutes. It was probably just 10 seconds, but felt like forever. And couldn't really see anything, couldn't feel anything wrong. She moved okay after a few minutes and loosened out a bit. But we went to the vets, so she got her X-ray done, which is where we saw the hip dysplasia onset. But then we got physiotherapy sessions, and Deirdre was a bit like, it's not enough to cause that much pain. So we felt a bit deeper, or Dee felt a bit deeper. And it turned out that it was one of the muscles on the inside of her thigh that she probably tore in a way or hurt in any way. So she got the physio for that. She is perfectly fine. She's not in pain. She moves like a dream at the moment. But that was about 2 years ago. So I need to get another X-ray done this year to see where she's at. If there are changes, so I can do something about it if there are. Another thing is to know what's normal for your dog. Really, really important. If you know what's normal, you can spot immediately when something's not normal. And you can get your dog to the vet or some professional, whoever they need to see, to get it sussed out. And the sooner you react and do something, the better. Now, I'm originally from Germany. In Germany, we're very big on prevention, as opposed to kind of firefighting all the time. So I think that mindset is really there, that I want to be more proactive and prevent it getting to the point where we have an issue. That's why I'm constantly educating myself on how I can do things better, try different things with her as well. Like Sansa is she's a Swiss Army knife, right? She does everything. She's brilliant at man trailing. Old dogs can do man trailing because they can go at their own pace. Their noses are the first, like the sense of smell for a dog is the first sense that is developed in the womb when they're a puppy, and it's the last one that's gonna go.
Oh,
they lose their eyesight
okay.
and their hearing first. The smell will stay. Okay.
It sticks with them.
And it's so good to provide mental enrichment because they're sniff machines. That's what they're designed to do, and to provide them with scent work as they age, because it's not physically demanding. It's brilliant. It's a perfect sport for older dogs. They don't have to walk far or long, but they can still search for something and indicate on something in an appropriate way. They don't have to do a sit or a lie down. They can just freeze. They don't, like, we have one dog that has hip dysplasia, really terrible hip dysplasia. He's brilliant at scent work, and his freeze is amazing. You know, his owner can do jumping jacks around him. He'll stay there. It's amazing. Oh. So it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. And trying to give them different stimuli, right? Stimuli. So it's not just I'm not just doing hoopers, or I'm not just letting her tug. It's all the different things, from the man to scent detection to hoopers. I still canny cross her. We still run.
Okay.
She's fine with that because she's on lead. She only trots. It's not like we're racing.
Yes.
But it really coming back to the deterioration. Of course, they can't do all these things forever and for a long period of time. So while at the moment you can run them for 10 miles every day, that'll change. And what do you do then? So you can't bring your dog on your run anymore. They need something different.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
Because you probably don't want to shorten your run, right? Humans are built that way. We want to always get more.
Exactly.
But our dog needs less. So we need to meet those needs in a different way. And there are so many things out there.
And I think you mentioned a lot, a really good key point of awareness of your own dog as well, because, awareness of the stages that your dog are in, awareness of how your dog normally does things, I think is a key point you brought out. Even in the slower motion kind of strength training that you mentioned, kind of, let's say, a pose, or kind of putting the front paws up onto a wall, something like that. If you notice that becomes more difficult, is that a sign of something, or is that normal for aging? Is that something I can bring up to my vet or physiotherapist the next time? I think that's so key. And then knowing your dog in general, because you've mentioned things like 10-kilometer runs. I've got a French bulldog. I don't think she could spell 10-kilometer run. It's just not in her nature, regardless of if it's a good day or a bad day. So I think knowing your dog in general is a super important part, and then applying what you're doing to what they're going to get the most out of. And I think you've brought a couple of things together for a day retreat. So I'd like you to maybe share a couple of details, if you're willing, on your Thriving Oldies day retreat that's coming up.
Yes. So we're running our first one on the 24th of March. That is a Sunday. Our day retreat is a collaboration between myself and Deirdre from Pet Boss Physio. So we have a trained canine rehabilitation therapist. That's the official title. Here on site doing a few bits as well. So it's a massively full day, jam-packed with goodness. Again, tapping into the prevention, right? So if you have a dog that suits or fits into the age categories, come along, learn how you can support your dog. So we're going to do a taster session on dog sports for oldies that'll be scent based. Then we're going to do an enrichment workshop where we just inspire everyone to just do a few things a little bit different, and that can already have a massive impact. then we're gonna do a boot camp session. While we are doing, I forgot to say that, while the enrichment workshop is on, everybody gets a chance to have time with Deirdre. Deirdre will have a feel of your dog and identify any areas where we could potentially run into trouble in the next while.
That's brilliant. You get a mini assessment on the day.
Assessment. We will fill in a sheet with everything we see. So Deirdre is also going to observe your dog while we're doing the taster sessions in the morning, observe the movement. So you get a report on the current state of your dog and if there's anything you need to act on. So after that, we're going to do a boot camp session with tailored fitness and strength exercises for older dogs. Again, low impact Pilates like that maintain muscle mass. Little things you can do at home while the kettle's boiling, literally, with the stuff you have at home. So really, really simple, but incredibly effective. And we're finishing the day with a canine massage session. So Dee's going to teach everyone a few massage techniques. Also, not just massaging, but getting a feel for the dog. What do I need to look out for? Is there tension? Is there heat? Also identifying, is this normal? Does this feel normal? Is it the same on the other side? You know, like little things like that to create awareness. And then we're going to have an expert talk at the very end. So then the dogs are tired. They're going to go back in the car and we're going to tap into what's to come. So we're talking about what function looks like usually in a healthy dog, what type of function you want to maintain for your dog to maintain quality of life. Home hazards, big one. As they age, what do you need to watch out for? Maybe you have to change a few things in your home environment. Lifestyle changes that might come along. It's all a might, right? Every dog and every team is different. And also then we're kind of talking a little bit about the medical issues that might come along the lines of the canine dementia, incontinence, these kind of things, right? So just trying to prepare a little bit and get people curious about their dogs and identify any changes. And also we have just this morning, or was it this morning? I think it was, no, yesterday. I can't remember. Every day is the same. Chris from Canines of Cork got in touch as well. He's going to be there on the day taking pictures.
Brilliant.
So we're going to make it a full rounded day. You can take home some memories as well if you like. It's a brilliant opportunity to have a fantastic day with your senior dog. Bring them out and about, learn new things, get your dog out, get them to experience new things. That's a form of enrichment. Bringing them to something they don't know yet is enrichment. So,
and I find it so lovely that you're enabling people as well to suss out their own situation, evaluate where they are with their dog. Here are some caveats that you might want to watch out for. This is how you see, self-assess at home what your dog is feeling. These are things you could be looking at. This is how you massage to maybe, number one, feel, but number two, maybe make things feel better for them. So it sounds so holistic and so lovely, and lovely that you can bring the dogs with you as well. It's not just a people-only seminar. This one is a workshop with the dogs. They get to take part, and I'm sure they go home absolutely wrecked and really enriched after the day. So that sounds really, really nice, all in all. And I love the holistic approach as well with inviting in, things like physiotherapy, rehab, and so on.
Yes, like my take on it is, unless you bring your dog to the vet when they have an issue, you don't get a physio referral. I'd like to come from the other side and say, look, these are little things you can do before you need the physio referral.
Exactly.
And just to raise that awareness, that curiosity about their dogs, and also adapt to the changing needs. Yes, maybe I had picture to do flyball with Sansa. I can't do flyball with Sansa because she has a spinal issue as well as the hip dysplasia. It would kill her. I would paralyze my dog, right?
Yeah. Not what you want to do.
No, not what you want to do. So now Hamish gets to do flyball and Sansa does all the other stuff.
Very good. Very good. So yeah, I love what you're doing. Love the idea. Really, really encourage people to check it out. I presume all of the information is over on dogsercise.ie.
Yes, so everything is on the website. There's a good bit of info on my Instagram as well and my Facebook page. Just little bits, and we're gonna put more out as we get closer to the date. But it's open for booking on our website at the moment. So the first date is out. If you guys book it, and we only take 6 dogs maximum for the day, so we give each dog the attention they deserve. So it's a quite intimate setting.
Mm-hmm.
But if it happens to be booked out and you don't get a spot, please put yourself on the wait list. If we have enough spaces on the wait list, we're going to put a new date on sooner rather than later. So we need to know. It's information for us. And if the demand is there, we're happy to put on more dates. We also have a weekend planned in September at Amy's retreat in West Cork at Wild Hideaways. So Deirdre and I are going down in September, and we're doing an oldies retreat weekend. So starting on the Friday evening or afternoon until the Sunday lunchtime. So a full blown retreat.
That sounds amazing. No, love to hear all these things coming up, and I know the need is there, so we just need to get the word out there. Everyone, share with your friends with slightly older dogs that might be interested in coming along, because like we all know the need is there in the dog community. It's just finding the information to the right people that want to take part. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing a little bit about this amazing topic of supporting senior dogs, Caroline. Appreciate it so much. Guys, if you want to support Caroline, obviously check out her course on her website, dogsercise.ie. You are also Dogsercise, is it Dogsercise or Dogsercise.ie on Insta?
.ie on Instagram and Dogsercise on Facebook.
Yeah. And if you're not following us already, we are Ruby Reese Official. Thank you so much, and I wish you a wonderful evening and see you soon.
Thanks a million, Killian. A pleasure as always. See you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.